Holy shit. Everybody, this is on ISCO. Right? All right. Yeah. So this is the smallest setup I've seen sound that big in quite a while. And I know a lot of people are asking about it. And so I see the slice. That's probably where some of the glitchy stuff's coming from, where the builds are coming from. What a cool technique to just like freeze a loop super hard to the point where it doesn't really get any louder, but it kind of just gets more like wearing. Yeah, and then when you break into the thing, it's just like sweet relief, but also just like a great. That's a really good technique. You did in the beginning, and I always do what you do at the end. Just make it as big as you can and then end it. I love that shit. So way to go.
That's my wife's recommendation.
Awesome, perfect. Congratulations, by the way, you two. So I see the Hermod in here. I see a Rample, and then I see a bunch of stuff I don't know what it is. So tell me a little bit about like where everything's coming from, drums, and then like you have multiple synth sounds, and I don't think it's all coming from this. So I'm just curious.
Sure. So I have like 5 voices technically. One of them is the Critter and Guitari Pocket Piano. It's being controlled by MIDI, which is like nice and simple for a tiny setup because you can just switch between the like 7 synths that are in it and make a different sound.
With Hermod, you're sending program changes?
Yeah, I'm sending everything with the Hermod through MIDI with that.
Cool.
And then the main like other 4 voices, one of them is just noise, which just kind of swashes in and out with the oct running that. And then the rest of them, it's this 8-bit oscillator that's Mutable Instruments Edge's clone.
Oh.
It's Michigan Synthworks threshold.
Cool.
And all that's going through 3 low-pass gates that kind of softens that edge. And makes them, you can like make it as nasty as you want to with those little switches.
Do you decide with like one's bass, one's like a couple different leads? Or?
Yeah, I have like 2 tuned lower than the other one. Okay. One's always leads, and then the other 2 switch off bass. Sometimes they're both bass for like a beefier sound.
Like this is what you had to tune when you got here?
Yeah, it's what I had to tune. Luckily that stayed in tune, just some of my other shit unplugged.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it's just all those voices are going through the Vinicursal VCA as lob guy.
Okay.
And that's going through a Acid and Sons filter, a Blue Lantern modular. And then all the drums are from the Rample.
Right, okay. You had a sick drum breakdown in the middle of it with some nice, like, downsample drums. Was all that, like... You know, were all the downsampling happening on the Rample, or were those like downsampled samples?
All Rample.
Yeah, cool.
So I just used this that 2 HP DC thing to just send voltage into the Rample inputs, and you can assign them to whatever parameter.
Offset,
yeah. So like you just take that offset and push it up, and it reduces the bit rate.
And drums and everything are sequenced by Herman.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for playing.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody, for being here. Give it up one more time. We'll do it again because I just said it. But yeah, thank you all so much for being here. This is Freq Boutique. If this is your first Freq Boutique, we do this every second Tuesday. I almost said third day, so don't worry about it. But yeah, we do this every second Tuesday of the month here at Fort Greene, and we stream live, and it's super fun. It's a modular synthesizer / hardware open mic night, people playing weird music with weird gear. If you're interested in playing a Freq Boutique, talk to myself or just go ahead and sign up at ColoradoModularSynthSociety.com. Yeah, don't go anywhere. We got plenty more performers. We'll see y'all soon. Peace. Give me like a minute and a half to turn on music too. It's gonna be real dead here for a second. Sorry.
ይገባል። ለአብ ምስጋና ይገባል፣ ለወልድም ምስጋና ይገባል፣ ለመንፈስ ቅዱስም ምስጋና ይገባል። አምላክን ለወለደች ለእመቤታችን ለድንግል ማርያም ምስጋና ይገባል። ለኢየሱስ ክርስቶስ መስቀልም ምስጋና ይገባል። ክርስቶስ በቸርነት ያስበን ዘንድ ዳግመኛም በመጣ ጊዜ እንዳያሳፍረን ስሙንም ለማመስገን ያነቃን ዘንድ እርሱንም በማምለክ ያጸናን ዘንድ በቤታችን ጸሎታችንን አሳርጊልን፣ ኃጢአታችንን አስተስርይልን። በጌታም በፊት ጸሎታችንን አሳርጊልን። ይህንን ኅብስት ላበላን፣ ይህንንም ጽዋ ላጠጣን፣ ምግባችንንና ልብሳችንንም ላዘጋጀልን፣ ክቡር ደሙን ቅዱስ ሥጋውን ለሰጠን፣ እስከዚችም ሰዓት ላደረሰን ለእርሱ ለልዑል እግዚአብሔር ምስጋና ይገባል። ከዳኛው ሬት አድኝን ዘንድ ተማጽነንብሻል። ስለ እናትሽ ስለ ሐና ብለሽ ስለ አባትሽ ስለ ኢያቄም ብለሽ ድንግል ማኅበራችንን ዛሬ ባርኪልን። አምላክን በድንግልና የወለደች የእመቤታችን የድንግል ማርያም ጸሎት ማርያምም አለች ነፍሴ እግዚአብሔርን ታላቅ ታደርገዋለች፣ መንፈሴን በመድኃኒቴ በእግዚአብሔር ደስ ይላታል። የባሪያይቱን መዋረድ አይቷልና፣ እነሆ ከዛሬ ጀምሮ ትውልድ ወዲያ ይመኛል። እርሱ ሕዝብ የሚሆን ታላቅ ቃልን ተደርጓልና።
Yeah, all right. Freq Boutique, how you guys doing? Wonderful set. So your name is Tell Your God to Ready for Blood, correct, right? I always put in like another syllable or like 3 more words. Exactly. So we have a lot of dance music gets played. I play dance music in between, and I was wondering, you know, when I told you like, okay, go, I turned the music off, and I'm like, just go. What's the reset like to play something like more calm and a little bit more just, you know, play an ambient set that is like more of a like sonic journey? How does that feel when I just like cut the kick drum and tell you like, go?
Is it weird? It feels like being self-conscious about being the one who didn't get the message.
Well, I feel like the message is pretty clear, but I'm sorry. All right, we'll talk about other shit now. So tell me a little bit about your setup. We have the bass. I know you have some interaction between the bass and the modular, and you have a foot pedal down here, and then you've got the bit box. Are those interacting at all? Tell us a little bit about the modular and the bass interaction.
Yeah, so mostly the bass is interacting with the modular through, first and foremost, the matrix mixer. And so then I'm using that to send it either to Nautilus, Aurora, or most importantly, the endless processor, which is kind of the matrix mixer and the endless processor are kind of the heart and soul of this.
What is that? I don't know what it is.
So what it is it literally just, my understanding is it doesn't sample a sound you send in, it re-synthesizes it.
Right.
So I can play a note, hit the button, and it'll just play that as long as I want it to, yeah. Cool. And you can mess with the length of the memory, which can have some impact on how static that drone is. And you've got 5 different layers per channel. Okay. But I was also, in the beginning, I was using it to basically sample, for lack of a better word, the vocal sample.
Right. All right, and the vocal samples are being played off a disting, or what is that? Okay. And then do you have other voices in here that are not drums? Do you have any more synth voices, or is what we're hearing all like reverb and delay being generated?
Yeah, so I actually have one channel of the Zadar that I tuned at home to the note I knew I wanted as a root. And so I've got that going through Belgrade as kind of a moving. So it's kind of a voice, although Zadar's not really meant for that necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I learned that you can use anything for an oscillator, clock anything, and looping envelopes can create a pretty cool complex sound. And then you've got the Constellation is your drum sequencer. You've got all 8 channels running into the bitbox. And do you interact with that much live, changing the patterns of the Euclideans? I know it's like 8 channels of Euclidean sequencing that you can change up, lengths and amounts of notes and things like that. Are you doing much of that, or is it more just kind of a vibe that you already have?
So I already had patterns programmed in, but I was I was interacting with it to bring it in gradually.
Okay.
And then once I had it, kind of the bass pattern fully playing, I was using live mode to switch between different patterns, which is why sometimes it sounded like shit, because that was where I switched it off time. But yeah, live mode was the main way I was interacting with it, to switch between different patterns.
Nice. I forgot about live mode. Cool. Well, I don't think anything sounded like shit. I think it all sounded dope, and I think y'all agree with me, right? Yeah. So one more time, you want to play Freq Boutique, Colorado Modular Synthesizers.com. If you have any questions for any of the performers, talk to them. One of the reasons why we do the interview at the end is to try to break the ice and make it a little bit easier for you to just want to go up to somebody and talk to them, because, you know, we're all human beings, and sometimes that can be a little difficult. Yeah, we have food tonight, Horse and Tigers in the house, so grab some food. It's wonderful food. And tip your bartenders and take care of yourselves, and we will be back in like 10 minutes. Alien Brunch, everybody. All right. All right. You've played Freq Boutique quite a few times now, and I feel like it changes a little bit, like the style of tunes that you're playing. And I don't know how much the setup has changed since then. Is the Deluge a new thing, or have you had that for a while?
Well, it's a new thing that I've had for a while, if you know what I mean. Yeah. You know, I've had it for almost a year now, and I've tinkered with it here and there, but what I'm using it for now is it's doing all the drum sounds and the drum sequencing and the bass sequence, even, you know, not a very complex bass, of course, but sequencing those voices, and also the master clock. All the other sounds are in the modular. Okay. And so in the modular, I have a common set of modules I tend to use most of the time, like Symphonian and Pam's New Workout, and a handful of oscillators and filters, and I change them out every once in a while to different ones, but it's kind of the same pattern I do. I also have a key step. Okay. So the key step I'm using as my main controller for all of the voices except for the drums and bass. So what I've done is I use the arpeggio mode on the key step. Yeah. That feeds into the Symphonian to quantize it to whatever scale the Symphonian is currently set to. Yeah. Okay. And then that feeds out actually to 3 different voices. Okay. 2 of them were that kind of Marco Polo thing that was going on throughout with 2 different synth leads. Yeah. And the third one is it actually goes through another arpeggio to go into the chord module of Symphonian. It's one of those things I patched up to see, you know, what's this going to sound like? Yeah. And I actually liked what it did. Yeah. So it's 2 arpeggios are rapidly changing the root note of the chord. Okay. And then the chord is fed into Rainmaker and Melodus Versio and a reverb pedal and a tape saturation pedal, and that gets kind of that drony wash thing that's been going on.
That's the chainsaw that's doing that?
That's the chainsaw that's doing that, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I was bored with the chainsaw until I figured out how to actually process it into something that's cool. Doesn't sound like, you know, house chords or something.
And then are you playing that the whole time?
Yeah, so the only pre-sequenced things were the drums and the bass line. Wow. So everything else I was playing live on the key step. Is that me?
Yeah, that's you.
Oh, I accidentally touched the key. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Touch it again. Do it
Yeah.
one more time. Oh, I didn't do it. So the wash is being created from the texture that's being, like you said, the root notes being modulated, and then all that's getting garbled by all the effects.
Yeah. Yeah, and that kind of in and out you're hearing right here where it kind of fades in and out, that's because there's an arpeggio going here. I don't actually have the clock running, so some things are not clocked. Yeah, I think the Symphonian is not clocked, but it's still going through the path.
Yeah, totally.
So.
Awesome. And then last thing, what's the Ikari doing? Ikari.
That is, what color is that? That's yellow, blue. Blue is, trying to figure out which voice that is. One of my voices here.
See it going in the blue box. So
The Ikari is, that's the filter on the shorter of the Marco Polo sequences. So the first one is the Vert Iter Legio, and then so it's alternating between that one and that which is being filtered by the Ruscia Legio.
Okay.
And then that alternates between that and the can't see anything. No, the Vert. Yeah, the Vert and the Ruscia is the first voice, and the Ikari. Oh, that's just a pair of a sawtooth and a triangle wave coming out of a little analog oscillator.
Yeah, nice, awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. Well, thank you so much for playing. Give it up one more time, Alien Brunch, everybody. If you'd like to play a Freq Boutique, talk to me, talk to anybody. Sign up at ColoradoModularSynthSociety.com. That's all you got to do. If you have a modular synthesizer or a semi-modular synthesizer, that's literally the only thing we ask. And if you don't have either of those but use hardware, you can also talk to me because we'd love to have you come play. Yeah, make sure to get yourself some food if you're hungry. Horse and Tiger's over there. And we will be right back after this. And by this, I mean tunes.
Carbon is another simple substance, from the union of which with oxygen springs carbonic acid. It cannot by any means be discovered being split up and divided into other substances. We must think a little about carbon.
Sign Mountain, everybody. I have no reverb on my voice, or else I would do it, but I can't. So, Sign Mountain, holy shit. Okay, so Michael and I were both over here, and we're watching you play in the very beginning, and he just turns to me and he's like, holy shit, what's that? And I was already watching you, and I know you're playing this as a keyboard. So explain to me again, because you've already done it, but explain to me again what the Plinky is as a module. And then tell me a little bit more about your patch, and then I'll ask you more questions as they come up.
Sure. Cool. Yeah, so real simply, the Plinky, think of it like 8-string synth with each row here. You can't see that there's rows of touchable pads.
We'll call them buttons.
Buttons, but they're not buttons. It's all sensitive. So you capacitor, so you can kind of get some different vibrato and stuff like that on it. Yeah.
And you're playing that like a keyboard. How
yeah.
does that work?
So let me just switch. Okay, so.
Okay, so then are those set to scales and then set to notes, or how?
They're set to scale. It's set to a scale. It's set to intervals between each one.
Okay, cool.
So I've been practicing it too much, but I haven't. Yeah, but so.
Nice. Sorry. And then what else? What else we got? We got the vector synth, the R/K vector. Is that, and that's being sequenced by Oxy, correct?
Yeah, everything's being sequenced by Oxy.
Everything's being sequenced by Oxy except for this, because you're just playing this, or that's being sequenced as well?
So I'm sending MIDI to it as well, but then this will override any MIDI I'm playing.
Okay.
So when it's not doing that, it's doing chords.
Yeah.
It's
And then how much control voltage are you actually using? Because the new thing in Eurorack is just to use fucking MIDI cables. And that's great because the best part about modular is that everything just fits in a tiny case and gets screwed in, and it's relatively permanent for traveling and stuff like that. But we've never done this, and now everyone's doing it, and I'm a little jealous. So tell me about what's getting controlled by MIDI, and then what is getting controlled by CV, and if that's happening also via Oxy and something else, or if it's modulation in there.
So the Oxy has the capability of sending CV over 8 gates and 8 CV. It's all routable through the 4 different sequencers. So you can do that, and I have done that in the past, but I'm not this time. Actually, everything I'm doing right now is through MIDI right now, but because I can also send CC data through these 4 assignable knobs here. So I have that going on. So yeah, there's not much CV controllable stuff going on right now, except for a clock that's kind of helping run Diversio. But that is kind of a decision basically for 2 things. One, so I can be super compact, so I can get polyphony. And then the other thing is so I can get velocity on some of these things, because there's a lot going on. So I'm trying to pack as much into a case and into a sound, especially for a dance set. I really wanted to have a ton of shit going on, and the only way I could really do that without bringing a huge case would be to do MIDI.
Yeah, perfect. Dope. Well, thank you so much for playing. Give it up one more time, Sign Mountain. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. Everybody on the stream, thanks for hanging out with us. We got 2 more performers. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. If you want to play a Freq Boutique, just sign up at ColoradoModularSynthSociety.com. If you have any questions, talk to me or any of the performers, and they'd be glad to, tell you that it's not as intimidating as it looks. And when we started this 6 years ago now, almost 7, we were literally a couple people, 8 people in this room, just jamming, doing shit with no sequencers, making weird noises. We're super thankful for this bar because the couple times I played here, I literally took one oscillator and made it modulate the other for 5 minutes in a delay and just made some weird fucking noises. And that's really the spirit of this whole thing. And you can be as musical or as thought out or as planned or whatever as you want, but that is the spirit. So we're trying to, with this night, get you used to bringing your stuff somewhere and helping you learn how to practice putting your shit away, putting it in a backpack or in the case or whatever, and putting it on a table and playing. And if it doesn't work, or it doesn't work the way you expect it to, you now have to figure that out, which is something that you have to do all the time as a performing musician. I have to do that all the time, all over the country, all over the world. I have to figure it out. And so that's what this is all about. So if you're interested, hit one of us up or just straight up sign up because we want you, and this event doesn't happen without performers. All right, I'll be back. We will all be back. We made it through. And you made it through. Give it up for Amra, everybody. All right. Yeah, you said it better than I did. So we have the Deluge going into its own channel on the mixer here, and then we have the modular going in. And I noticed in the beginning, it's all modular. You bring in the Deluge. I came over. I watched you get to max. I turned you up a little bit. Of course. So what I'm curious about is clocking, syncing the two things. Where that lies, I think is probably in the vector. But you can tell me about that, and then tell me what it's like to work with two separate things, because obviously a lot of times when you bring in a box you try and integrate it, and so having two separate outs is a little bit different. So I'm just tell me about that and what the workflow is like.
So I kind of wanted to take the approach of a DJ, right? I don't know how to use the turntable hardware. I wanted a very elaborate clip player and sampler, right? So I use this like you would use turntables. There's long audio clips in there and then patterns that I've created. So I would do all this cool shit on the modular. It's in sync. I could bring in actually a pre-recorded track that's in time and then jam modular over it. You saw me just going nuts with the modulation on the drum machine and the plates, just going crazy just to make it noise. So I've got this, I build it up with this, bring in the foundation for the whole set here, and then just augment it with this and make all sorts of crazy noise.
All right, dope. It's opposite, I thought. Vector is the master, going MIDI, USB MIDI into here. Yep. Okay. And then you've got the... Okay, I want to talk to you real quick. We're a little behind, so we got to go quick. However, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Vector and what it's doing. So your drum machine is being sequenced by that, as well as your voices, right?
Yep, I've got... The Vector is using 4 channels for the quad drum machine and the two CV outs for the 2 lead voices that were the melodies that you heard in the background. So yeah, so it's doing CV, 2 channels, and then 4 channels to the drum, sending MIDI to this for start, stop, and clock. And yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I noticed when you started playing that you just pressed play over here and looked over here, and there's a light over here somewhere that just says sync. And as soon as that lit up, I watched you literally just like see it and turn around and then start playing here. And I was like, you're not even going to make sure, you're not going to listen in headphones that this is good. And that's a good testament to MIDI sync, because it's always a pain in the ass. And you press play here and you were confident here. So that's awesome.
That's basically it. I trust it now. This is my new rig.
Yeah, that's the primary thing in hardware music, especially, I mean, all electronic music is trust. It's all about being like, oh, I trust this piece of gear to actually do what it does. And I'm actually in modular because I trust my modular to do the same thing. And people are like, you can never make a modular sound the same every time. And I'm like, I personally can make that shit sound good and the same enough that I trust the hell out of it to fucking start when I tell it to start. And there are so many things that have a problem with that. So that was cool to watch.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Give it up one more time, Amra. All right, don't go anywhere. We got one more performer. Make sure you tip your bartenders. I hope you got food. I don't think they're doing that anymore, but I hope you got it because it's awesome. If they are, fucking patronize those people. Everybody here, we're so thankful, one, for all the performers that signed up, because this party would not be a thing if it was just me having to play, because I wouldn't do it. Yeah, it wouldn't be that, and it wouldn't be a thing without y'all coming out to watch all the people playing, because there's really no there's no reason to perform if you're not performing in front of people. And the whole point of Freq Boutique is to share what we're doing with each other and to lift each other up and to inspire each other. So huge thanks to everybody involved. And again, huge thanks to the bar, because the bar, Fort Greene, has been so gracious to have us for so many years. So let's give it up for Fort Greene. And yeah, we'll be right back with your last performer. Also, we have a couple things we need to announce. This Friday, we're doing a post-NobCon patched out. It's going to be at the Black Box. It's going to be epic. We've got this performer from Berlin playing. They're called Vamp Acid. Everyone I talked to who saw this person play in NobCon this last week said she was absolutely incredible. One of the best people of the weekend. We have her coming to play on Friday. It's a $10 cover. It's going to be great. The other guest we have is Eli. His name is Eli from Mystic Circuits. He makes his own Eurorack modules. He has his own way of sequencing and playing his own music. Like, he is a very, very unique performer. He's coming out from LA to play the show. He's actually driving from Chicago, stopping here on his way home from that show. So it's going to be really, really good time. And then there is another show that I wanted to promote, but I think I lost the flyer. It's October 8th. It's in Louisville. Tom's going to give me another one because he's the best. October 6th, I was wrong. It's at 8 p.m. It's called Autumn Light. It's going to be at Lumonics Light and Sound Gallery. A ton of people that I love are playing. We've got Victoria Lundy. She's going to be doing the theremin. She's Denver's premier theremin player, thereminist, if you will. We've got Monoscene, a Freq Boutique legend. And then we've got Mark Mosier, who none of us would be here without Mark Mosier. He runs the Rocky Mountain Synth Society, and he was the one that I met I met all the community that existed as far as Denver synth community. I met Victoria, I met Monoscene. Through that, I also met Mark. They've been doing their thing for 10 years, and Mark's playing that. It's going to be a wonderful thing. If you need a flyer, talk to Tom over here or Victoria. They put their hands up real quick. They're going to do it again. Put your hands up. So talk to them, get a flyer, and then put that on your calendar. And don't go away. We got Corvaxis playing next. He just released an EP a couple weeks ago, and he's going to play us some songs from that. So super exciting. We'll see you all very soon. Corvaxis, everybody, give it up. Real quick, one more time, give it up for Greene. Give it up for the bar. All right, so we've talked a few times about your setup, and this looks a little different now. You've got a few different modules that I didn't know were in here. And then you've got the circuit tracks and the circuit rhythm. Those two, like, tell me a little bit about, like, what it's like to compose with the two machines and the modular, and, like, every time when you set up, I guess my question personally is, when you set up, especially with the tracks, right, that's your MIDI sequencer? Like, are you sequencing this with that? Yeah. So every time you set up, are you using this, or do you sometimes, like, make a bass line on that and then replace it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, let me get you some slack.
Yeah, so I basically always use the MS-20 clone as a bass, so I usually set it up exactly how it is. This is now doing 909 samples and a kick, so I have drums built into the modular. So that's being sequenced by the circuit tracks. I'm also using the software synths built into the tracks, and then the rhythm is just playing samples, mostly vocal samples for this.
Where are the chords coming from and, like, the washy synth?
Yeah, so chords are, like, I'm doing basically a lead and a pad on the circuit track, so just using the built-in software. I installed some, like, different packs to get some different sounds. They're mostly, like, replicating classic synths, things like that.
Are you still doing lots of Ableton, like, work on Ableton up front and then design this, or are you, like, is this, like, your composition now?
Yeah, so traditionally I've, like, composed in Ableton and then kind of, like, broken everything down to be, like, in this DAW-less setup, but for this EP, I started in the tracks and the rhythm, built the songs, then bounced them to the DAW, and did kind of a back and forth from there. So that makes it a lot easier for performing because everything's just here already.
How much was it faster for your workflow to make tracks in these after you knew them so well than Ableton, or was it, is it a wash?
I think it was faster. Like, this whole EP came together in, like, the course of a week or so, which is, like, really fast compared to anything I've done. I think part of that is because of how limited it is. I think I spend a lot of time in a DAW just, like, fiddling around, and this I just wanted to be, like, done, like, get it to a good enough point, and so it's more about just, like, keeping going and getting tracks good enough.
Perfect. Okay, 909 drums in here. We can't not mention the Soundforce little sample player that has 909 samples in it. And that just gives you, like, more sounds, so you can use stuff over here and use your vocal samples and things. Question about recording now. So Liam just put out an EP 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. Artist name Corvaxis. What's the album name again? Album is called Chaos. You can get it on Bandcamp. Let's talk for a second, because you're the last performer and we have some time, about recording with these boxes, because you're only doing, like, you've only got stereo outs on them. Are you splitting out the tracks to do, to multi-track stuff? Are you, and what's that workflow like? Like, do you have to, like, record each track? Is there something you can bounce the loops from these things to, like, to WAV files you can then work with in the recording realm? Or, like, what's that like to go from like, recording or just making, like, a record out of these boxes?
Yeah, so it was really interesting and new to me, like, approaching it in this way. So basically what I did is got the songs to, like, a good point on these, then multi-track them out straight to Ableton. So just, like, playing one track at a time, just as loops, and then I would work on the song structure like that, and then I actually went back and resampled everything, like doing filter sweeps, changing different settings to make it more dynamic, so that's not just loops the whole time.
Holy shit. I needed to come and watch you do that. That sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much for playing, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Give it up one more time for Corvaxis, everybody. EP is available now on Bandcamp and streaming everywhere, right?
Yep.
Cool. So this has been Freq Boutique. Thank you all so much for being here. We're going to hang out for another few minutes, but we really appreciate y'all being here and supporting. Is last call now, or did it already happen? Last call is now, so if you want to drink, go and get that. And yeah, if you want to play Freq Boutique or have any questions, please talk to me or any other performers about the experience. And again, like, just don't feel intimidated. Like, come in and do your thing. If that's a thought in your mind, if anxiety is a part of it at all, don't let it be. Like I said earlier, this is all about supporting the community, supporting each other, and then learning what it's like to tear your studio apart and bring it to a bar and set it up in 10 minutes while I'm looking at you, making sure that you play on time. All of those things. That's what it's about. So yeah, sign up at ColoradoModularSynthSociety.com. Also, huge thanks to them for hosting our everything that we do, because we don't have a website. They host it for us. And that's it. Friday, Patched Out, Black Box. Please come. It's going to be really great. We've got some really good performers. And then October 6th at the, I forgot what it's called again. Come over here and take a picture of this so you don't do what I did, but it's called Lumonics, and go to that shit. All right. Bye, everybody.